What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome into Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Caratanudo at Diablo00 is where you can hit me up on Twitter and have some conversation. Let's have some fun. It is Pac-12 Preview time, like I said, and it's been a very interesting inaugural softball Pac-12 tournament, to say the least. And it all kicked off on Wednesday with a tough one, to say the least. Well, a rivalry one. Not even that, a rivalry one. And depending on which side you're on, a tough one. But the tournament is being hosted at Hillenbrand Memorial Stadium in Tucson, home of the Wildcats. And they had a play in the play-in game. And it was on Wednesday, and they went. So they had that. And then, but yeah, I mean, it got started Wednesday, and but yeah, I mean, it's very cool that it is, like I said, down in Tucson. And yeah, so it started on Wednesday, and I know I mentioned on Monday saying we talk about it, but Arizona and Arizona State, that was the 8-9 matchup. That was the play-in game. And the winner of that had the right to play who? UCLA, the number one seed. So, yes, it got very, very fun from there. So UCLA was the one seed coming in. Washington came in at number 2, Utah 3, Stanford at 4, Oregon at 5, Cal at 6, and then Oregon State at 7. And like I said, 8 was Arizona, 9 was Arizona State. They're the playing game. So on Wednesday, though, Arizona, well, Arizona won that game to and it was not even close. It was a home game for them, which, again, inevitably not a bad deal for them. And Arizona State's been on a little bit of a slide, and it's been a tough back half of the conference season for them, and inevitably a very tough conference. Talk about it all the time. And again, I am a homer for the conference, but the proof is in the pudding with how these teams are playing. So, yes, but on the 10th, the 8-9 play-in game, Arizona taking on Arizona State, and they they beat them pretty good. It was 13-4. Arizona won in 5 innings. and they win that. So you figure, and I said it on Monday, and it's one of those things where in the beginning of the softball season, yes, it was kind of ASU new head coach, obviously very talented, qualified, a new head coach, graduated some players that were key cogs to last year's run to the super regionals, and lost the head coach. So that's that is, coming in the season, you didn't know what to expect. Yes, they lost a few power hitters and players in the field that could have been definitely in some of these closer games, big difference makers. But they did get quite a few players back. And then the transfer portal brought in some talented players. Also, some very talented freshmen came in. And so it was going to be an uphill battle. But my point to that is, for Arizona, really not thinking that. A team that went to the College World Series last year. And you're thinking, okay, there's no way in the inaugural tournament that Arizona is going to be the 8 seed and playing a 9 seed play-in game. So the game started out fast, and I just So when we get to this game, the crazy part about this game is it didn't go the full 7, but it did start out fast. Arizona State gets on the board in the top of the first. Boom, bats come out. And speaking of, Jasmine Hill's bat came out. She hit a first inning grand slam to left center. Boom, ASU up 4-0. And then bottom of the first, Arizona doesn't score. U of A gets out of it. Top of the second, well, Arizona State doesn't score. Bottom of the second, though, Arizona loads the bases up. And they get a ground out to second, which scored a run. Then the next hitter, Sculpin, double to left center, and that cleared the bases for 3 RBI. So just like that, it is tied. Or no, it is 4-3. Oh no, it's tied up. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so she cleared the bases and scored. So now we're tied at 4. Going into the third, nobody scores. Fourth inning, top of the fourth, Arizona State still couldn't put up any more runs after that miraculous first. Bottom of the fourth, Arizona goes up by 1, 5-4. Then we hit the fifth inning, and it is an 8-run fifth inning. Yes, let that settle in. An 8-run fifth inning for Arizona. Highlighted by a Skaggs grand slam to end it for the for Ali Skaggs. Hit a grand slam to end it, made it 13-4 in 5 innings. And that's just, in a way, for Arizona State fans, and having been around the softball team who, again, competed and grinded and never had their heads down. I will say that for Coach Bartlett and the team, never had their heads down, even as conference play got tougher and challenging. They hung in games, they battled, and that's just where they were. But But um they battled, and this game is just the is just almost the epitome of the back half of conference play for Arizona State. Got off to a good start, boom, 4 runs, and then I mean, again, you get a Jasmine Hill grand slam, get you started off in the first. You're feeling good. It's on the road, building confidence there, and then when they answer back in the bottom of the second, and then the 8 runs in the fifth, though, and that ends the game. Um, but yeah, I mean, this game here just a microcosm of the season for Arizona State and for Arizona. I mean, it was again to be in the 9 seed, a little shocking to say the least. I mean, I will say that it is a little shocking when you think of it that way, because when you look at the softball standings, I mean, Arizona and Arizona State both 6-18, 6-18 in conference play, and UCLA finished the season 21-3 overall, or 21-3 in conference play, 51-4 overall. So yeah, they are on a mission. Are the Bruins? And then Washington, like I said, second. But yeah, so that was the playing game. Arizona beats them in 5, 13-4. Yeah, 13-4 in 5. And just gonna say we're batting in the bottom of the fifth when that happened. Once it goes above 8 runs, then yes, that is the game. So that is a definitely a tough one. But looking at the next games the next day, so the day kicked off with Utah, number 3 Utah playing number 6 Cal, and then Washington State playing Oregon State, or Washington, sorry, not Washington State, Washington playing Oregon State, UCLA taking on Arizona, and then the nightcap on Thursday was Stanford and Oregon. And yeah, those all took place on Thursday. So Utah scores real quick. We'll get through this real quick, and then Utah took out Cal 6-2. And by the way, single elimination. By the way, I think I mentioned that. So yeah, it's not like the Women's College World Series where it's double elimination and regionals, super regionals, all that good stuff. But so Utah takes out Cal 6-2. Washington just ekes by Oregon State 1-0. UCLA, and I want to talk about this not just because, not just because it's UCLA, but Arizona, the way they played, absolute madness in this game. And absolute madness in this UCLA Arizona game. UCLA eked it out 4-3, and it's so much different than what we saw when they played in Arizona and pretty much just in the regular season. And I was hyped for that matchup, and that's kind of Arizona when they hit the bumpy road. But they win 4-3 to advance, and then Stanford just slipped by Oregon 4-3 as well. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing about this Arizona UCLA game. The 3-game series last month, if you were going to go off that, you just would have thought that UCLA was going to boat race Arizona because they swept them in that series. And they hit the ball all over the place, did UCLA. And they did outscore Arizona 30-9 last month in Tucson in that regular season matchup. Pardon me. So that's crazy to think about that. And then it's a 4-3 game, and how it went down. Arizona actually took the early lead. And it was kind of a little home cooking, you could say, a little the Arizona, the U of A softball gods, but no, it was a play where it should have just been a pop-up that should have just been fielded by UCLA's second baseman Anna Vines, but Vines turned to field the ball, and she ran into the umpire and was knocked to the ground. The ball fell into shallow center field, and Vines was down for a little bit, but stayed in the game. The single by Pacheco put runners on the corners for Arizona, and a double by freshman Kaya Altmaier, who's had a heck of a season for the Wildcats, scored the first run. And, I mean, a huge moment for the freshman. Well, she had a big season when she got in, but she missed much of the season with a back injury. But actually now had to step in for the junior Jasmine Perez-Chica, who was injured in the final series of the regular season. So Altmaier gets the run. And then Devin Netz was on the mound for Arizona, and she plowed through the UCLA order, got her offense right back up. And then Dakota Kennedy led off with a double. And then Olivia DiNardo was hit by a pitch. So she was on base. And then Nets helped their own cause with a double to score Kennedy to put the Wildcats up 2-0, just like that. And keeping an offense, I mean, you got to think, okay, 2-0, UCLA is like, all right, we figured they were going to come out to play like this in April, and our bats were hot, and we just were able to hit everything off the pitching, which wasn't bad for her. I mean, yes, you see 30-9 and you think, wow, but no, I mean, there were some big hits in that series by UCLA. And then Maya Brady says, you know what? I'm gonna take care of this, and she hit a 2-run jack to tie the game. And then in the top of the fifth, Arizona took another lead with an RBI single from Allie Skaggs. But the Bruins in the bottom of the inning, they were the home team. You're like, oh, it's in Tucson, but yeah, they're the number 1 seed. So all the lower seed or Yeah, all the lower seeds are the home teams. Allie Skaggs got a single from Allie Skaggs, but the Bruins will answer a solo shot by Megan Grant was followed by the second home run of the game for Maya Brady. And UCLA had its first lead of the game 4-3, and that's where it stayed. Nobody scored in the sixth. Nobody scored in the seventh. And the Bruins hang on to beat the Wildcats, who, look, some, and just reading a lot of the, just as I've been looking at this, and, it's a Pac-12 tournament started, other tournaments started, but, some of the prognosticators think, Arizona might not be in a regional. Obviously, they're not hosting a regional, but I think Arizona definitely could end up in a regional. I know they're 29-25, but the Pac-12 RPI-wise is the top conference in the country, as it should be. Side note there. But anyway, I digress. So I don't know if Arizona season is done. I think regional-wise, UCLA obviously hosting a regional no matter what happens today or the rest of this tournament, but UCLA hosting a regional. I want to say Washington may have taken a regional away from Oregon. Because Oregon did lose to Stanford. Stanford is number 7 in the country. So I don't know. Stanford, I think UCLA and Stanford definitely hosting regionals. Washington and Oregon, maybe one of the two. I think 3 would host regionals, but that's just me. So those were the scores from yesterday. So semifinals today, semifinal day. So 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time. We have Washington taking on Utah on ESPNU. Kids, everybody, if you get a chance, check it out again. But you should check out the nightcap, which is 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on ESPN2 as well. UCLA and Stanford. Stanford, number 7 in the country. They are no slouch. 40-12 overall. UCLA, 51-4. Let that sink in. 51-4. And they lost 3 games in conference play, but never lost a series in conference play, as they lost 1 game in 3 different series, to overstate the easy math for everybody. Yes, I like to do that. You know that. But, they take on Stanford, and that is going to be one hell of a matchup down in Tucson. And for all those that are maybe down in the Tucson area, it might be tough, but if you can go check it out, get tickets, go check it out. It is absolutely phenomenal talent. And, the pitching at this level, and then even for the hitting to be able to, catch up to it and match it at some point. So that is the semifinals. And tomorrow, 7 o'clock or 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific and Mountain Time, the Pac-12 championship game. And that will be on ESPN2 as well. So the winner of Washington, Utah faces off against the winner of Stanford, UCLA, Stanford. So again, it's going to be a phenomenal rest of the weekend down in Tucson. Well, 2 days, I should say, today and tomorrow. But yes, check it out. UCLA, look, Bruins, they are the heavy favorite, but those other 3 teams, and they got Stanford today is going to be a tough test. And then either Washington or Utah. So yes, they've beat these teams, but they've had some battles. So we shall see. And as for predictions, not a clue. The teams that should be there are there. That was my prediction. So no, I think UCLA would be the slight favorite, but I'm not going to say that Stanford couldn't put a performance together, or Washington or Utah couldn't put a performance together to match them. And in tournament play, obviously pitching gets a little bit I'm not going to say tighter, but things do. Play does get a little bit tighter, and the pitching. Obviously, they've seen you're going to go with your ace, and you're going strong on strong, and So it's just going to be, like I said, you need to check it out is the whole point to that. So, but hey, we're going to step aside real quick. When I get back, we will shift gears to baseball, who is in their penultimate weekend of conference play. And some of the big matchups that are going on. So we'll step aside, back with more here on Pac-12 Preview. Welcome back to Pac-12 Preview. Yes, I am Michael Caratanudo at Diablo00. That is where you can find me on Twitter. Questions, thoughts, debates. Let's have fun with it. Let's just be civil. Yeah, I mean, we can talk trash, but we can be civil about it. But yeah, questions, conversations, hit me up there. Comments, drop them in the comments here. Totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah, we can definitely have some fun. So again, don't forget, check out the softball Pac-12 conference tournament, which is being hosted by U of A down in Tucson, semifinals, Stanford, UCLA, Washington, Utah. It is all there. It is all there for your enjoyment. It's going to be on ESPN2 tonight. Again, check it out. The championship game also tomorrow on ESPN2. So yeah. So yes, check it all out. And you will have them. Speaking of checking out, in between that, you'll have a chance to check out some you'll have a chance to check out some baseball in the Pac-12, which, yes, it is. Well, Stanford again took a control, a little bit more control after sweeping ASU in conference play last weekend. So they again are up top in the conference and have control, and it's one of those things where they took control, did Stanford, of their own destiny to be the regular season champs and go into the Pac-12 baseball tournament as the number one seed, but still some work to do. Again, anything can happen. They're taking on Arizona this weekend, which Arizona struggling a little bit in conference. But again, that's why they play. That's why we play the games, right? So standings right now, conference-wise, real quick in baseball. Stanford is 18-6 overall, or 18-6 in conference play. Arizona State 14-9. Oregon State 16-11. Oregon is 14-10. Washington 13-10. USC 13-11. UCLA 10-12-1. Arizona 9-15. Like I said, as is Cal. They are 9-15 as well. And then Washington State 8-15, and then Utah 8-18-1. And Utah, again, the only team in the Pac-12 or with an overall record that's under 500. Stanford up top is 32-13. Arizona State 29-18. Oregon State 34-14, as they have definitely started to come on strong. The back half of conference play have the Beavers. The Ducks are 31-16. Washington 29-14. USC 28-20-1. UCLA 25-19-1. Arizona 26-20, like I mentioned. There's two teams below 500. Cal is 21-23 overall, and then Washington State is 27-19, and then Utah 20-27-1 overall. So that is where the standings match up. As per the schedule, again, odd number of teams. So Utah, no Pac-12 opponent for them this weekend as they take on Cal Poly. But Stanford is hosting Arizona. So this is huge because they came to Tempe and took 3. And like I said on Monday, just a little foreshadowing of that. It is very hilarious now that it is unfortunate that Arizona State went toe-to-toe. I had the updates, had a lot of the updates breakdown. We talked about it on Monday. They went toe-to-toe with the number 6 team in the country, a top 10 team in the country, 3 straight games. And Stanford was able to just do the little bit extra to win. Well, now every ASU fan would be rooting for Arizona to at least take 2 of the games from Stanford. But again, a tall task in Palo Alto, but that is where Arizona is playing this weekend. And tonight, that game is 8:35 Eastern, 5:35 Pacific and Mountain Time on the Pac-12 networks. You can check it out there. Washington State will travel to Northern California as well and take on the Bears, as that is 9:05 first pitch Eastern Time, 6:05 Pacific. And then Arizona State headed to Southern California to take on USC. And to take on USC, and that is 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, first pitch there in Southern California. And speaking of staying in Southern California, the Bruins, they will be hosting the very streaking Oregon State Beavers. And that is at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific and Mountain Time on the Pac-12 network. So, like I said, I mean, talking about the standings there, but you look at like Arizona State and USC. Arizona State, like I said, is 14-9. USC is 13-11. So ASU, I mean, Willie Bloomquist, they got to be looking to take 2 out of 3. They got to be looking to win, get back in, because they hadn't lost the series until the Oregon series, and where they picked up the Sunday win. And then Stanford, like I said, took all 3 games. So those are the first 2 series conference-wise that the Sun Devils lost all season, having a heck of a season, but needing to get back on track. And again, you're looking to take 2 out of 3 from SC, because if you do that, that at least makes you 16-10, and that would make USC 14-13, and you separate yourself going to that last weekend of the series. Like I said, Washington, who's taking on Oregon, well, they're 13-10 as well. Well, Oregon, I should say, is 14-10. So you're looking at, if anybody takes 2 or 3, being right there with ASU. Oregon State now taking on UCLA, which is, UCLA again, 10-12-1 in conference play, 25-19. They're right there, but Oregon State has been on a heater. So if you're Arizona State and you have Oregon State, who you took 2 out of 3 from, I mean, Oregon State does have 16 wins, but they do have the 11 losses, obviously. So, ASU and Oregon State battling for that second and third spot in the regular season, which again affects the tournament, the Pac-12 tournament seedings. So it's going to be huge. I mean, like I said, Stanford, ASU, Oregon State, Oregon, Washington, even USC. again, needing some help because Stanford, again, playing in Arizona, they all need help from Arizona. I mean, if Arizona somehow went in there and swept Stanford, which again, I don't see, having seen Stanford and knowing what they have. But again, Arizona, it takes, a free hit here or there, a funny bounce here or there. But just say Arizona were to do that, pull off the pseudo unlikely. So Stanford would fall to 18-9 overall in conference play. So if ASU took 2 or 3, they'd be 16-10. If they swept USC, they would be 17-9. And right there. And then you look at Oregon State. If they swept UCLA, they'd be 19-11. So they'd have the most wins, but also losses. So they would still be behind Stanford and ASU. But yeah, I mean, just a lot going on there. And you look at teams like that Washington Oregon matchup. I mean, that's just that's huge. You only have 2 ranked teams because, of course, ASU gets swept by higher Stanford, even though they go toe to toe and they fall out of ranking. But if it was some, SEC team with the same exact results and record, they would be ranked. And you can say you're bitter because they're better. No, they're not. If they came into the Pac-12, I'll put the conference up against the SEC and think we'll fare very well. I know ASU took on Mississippi State early in the season in Starkville, and it was a good series. And when did they play that series? They played that series, I will tell you, in February. And ASU, well, they lost 2 or 3, but they went into Mississippi State on a Friday night and whooped them 13-4. Then they lost 5-1, and then Mississippi State on the Sunday got the 16-3 victory. But I mean, early in the season, you're going there again, and at this point in the season, like I said, I'll put the Pac-12 up with the SEC baseball wise, because they've had, again, it's one of those things. But ASU again able to take the opening game there, and just had some. I mean, there were good battles. The last game was tough because it just seemed like Mississippi State was hitting everything. I remember watching that, but nonetheless, again, I look at it, and it is going to be a huge, huge weekend for that. Saturday. Tonight also, I forgot to say, so Oregon and Washington, it's 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific and Mountain Time on the Pac-12 network. So, but tomorrow, starting off the day, little afternoon baseball, he said Utah, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, hosting Cal Poly, but Cal, 5:05 Eastern, 2:05 Pacific, Cal hosting Washington State on Saturday. And then Stanford, like I said, in Arizona, that's a 6:05 Eastern first pitch, 3:05 Pacific. UCLA hosting Oregon State, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And then Oregon hosting Washington, that's exactly the same time, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And then the nightcap is USC and Arizona State, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And then Sunday, all on Sunday, so UCLA, Oregon State, Oregon, Washington, 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific, and then Stanford and Arizona, 3:05 Eastern, 12:05 Pacific, and then SC and ASU, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, and then Cal and Washington State, 4:05 Eastern and 1:05 Pacific. So that is Sunday. In baseball there. And by the way, shout out to Megan Farimo, the very talented and dominant UCLA pitcher who was the Pac-12 softball scholar athlete of the year. And it's hats off to her on that. So yeah, and then also on Monday I'll be talking um, a lot more about golf coming up. Obviously, post national tournament because that is on the men. I know the women's is definitely here in Arizona. I want to say both are, and not going on at the same time, but um, basically a weekend apart. But not basically a weekend apart. But the men's and women's will get into golf on Monday and talk about that. Also, track and field coming up, and then softball too, obviously, with that, because after the uh, tournaments are played, the selection committee, all that stuff is going to come out. I want to say on Sunday, definitely Sunday, or definitely by Monday, but I'm pretty sure from what I saw, it was Sunday. So we'll get into that on Monday and who's hosting a regional and where other teams from the Pac-12 might be going to play a regional. So, and then who will have the chance to play a super regional. Yeah, so we'll have that. And then baseball obviously has one more weekend left. Has one more weekend left after that. And I'll get into that after the review, but I'll get into that on Monday about who baseball has. But yeah, we'll talk a lot of softball, obviously bracket. We'll talk men's and women's golf too, because they are, like I said, obviously the USC women won the Pac-12 championship. And on the men's side, Stanford takes it home too. So yes, they will be playing, and there will be individual players like Stanford as a team going, and then yes, there will be other teams from the Pac-12. Again, I'll get into all that, but on Monday. But then there'll be also individual players that qualified and are going to play in the national turn championship. So yes, they could win an individual title. They might have a shot to do that. Not a team title, but nonetheless, if you're there, that is very, very awesome. So, and I also saw some, and I didn't have a chance to fully read it, but there is an article out from Outkick, and it's by Ian Miller, and it says, Oregon and Washington vetted and cleared to join the Big Ten, according to a new report. So I'm going to get into that. We're going to have that on Monday too, because I am just getting sick and tired of this conference gouging. What is the point of having a conference? And yes, don't say to me money, because it's stupid, because the bigger the conference, you have to have crazy landmark deals. If you go to 12 on the playoff, which you should, there's no reason a conference jump, but it's less money per each school. Think about that. You're getting a big number, but the Bulls aren't going to sit there and from the TV side. But if you're splitting that with the schools, and yes, your school, you get most of it, but it's still peanuts for the other schools. It's basic division, right? basic division. The more you have, the less money there. So I'm going to read that article. I'm going to do a little more research, obviously, and see, because that is just absolutely pathetic. Like UCLA and USC going, I mean, yeah, they're, of course, they would try to influence other schools to go because, yeah, it beats having a 3,000 mile at a conference game in football, or not at a conference, a 3,000 mile conference game in which you could be on the road back-to-back weeks. I mean, just think about that. And I'll laugh because I hope it costs them. I do hope it costs them wins. I really do. So one weekend you're playing, say you're playing Minnesota. You're away at Minnesota. So you're away at Minnesota. You're UCLA or USC. You're away at Minnesota. And then the next week you're away at Penn State. Love it. Absolutely love it. And yeah, cool. Maybe you do win, but it definitely, with the travel, it cracks me up. I think it's ridiculous, and you're just trying to form super conferences, and it's just dumb, like absolutely dumb. Let's just forget it. Let's screw the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 and everybody else. Let's just go back to it's all just one super conference. That's all it's called. Pick 12 teams from that. Oh, but now people are, well, no, we can't do that. But you can go gouge other conferences. So, like I said, we'll get into that. I'll get into that more on Monday as well. Well, we'll see. Depends on selections and who I can get guest-wise to come on after like I said, after softball selection and all that good stuff. Yes, I would be very, very happy to, but we're going to start to dive into this because it's just absolutely ruining college football, regional rivalries. And it's just, for fans, and when they say all they care about is the money, like, yeah, you can understand why NIL came in, because these schools are just doing things and, oh, well, it's our future. I got an idea. Put the effort in, and you can do it. It can be done. Because then all I always hear after this is excuses. Put the effort in to put that money into the conference that you have. Keep your rivalries. Thrive on that. But no, you want to sit there and other conferences gouge and jump ship, and they're so big. It's ridiculous. And it's going to lead to watered down because other schools they want to invite in, top talent, but the schools that are there that are winning, aka Ohio State, you want to be able to beat them. So constantly, you're going to end up watering down your conference. So keep watering it down, because the original system, again, I could see school teams like conferences growing when they grew, people say, what's the difference between this and when conferences, it was obviously what was it? I don't even know if they called it the PAC-8, but the PAC-8, and then ASU. I know Frank Kush. I remember hearing stories. Frank Kush was completely opposed to going into the Pac-10 at the time because it didn't feel that, yes, they were doing it, but weren't ready, this and that. And nonetheless, of course, they went. Expanding to grow because of the region and more schools is one thing. Plucking schools across the map is a joke. So you're going to tell me Washington and Maryland, that's a 4,000 mile difference. Ish. I'll get the exact mileage, but let's just say about 4,000 miles. Really? For a softball game, a volleyball game, which so many people don't care about, that's fiscally responsible. Right. Or you're going to treat Olympic sports like crap and just make them play somewhere in the middle, so only one team really gets home court. Awesome. Great idea. Great idea. Treat them like, they don't matter. And yeah, we don't really think about that. We just think about, we see the dollar signs, what we're getting, and then we'll figure it out with sports later on. And again, not that the academics isn't important. I'm saying from the sports side, yes, academics is completely important. Not that person up here saying that junk. But sports wise, that's just absolutely ridiculous. So it's baffling to me, absolutely baffling to me. But got to read the article. Always follow the green. All you got to do is follow the green and you'll get the answers. You can have all the sophisticated answers from all these allegedly genius presidents and blah, 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 but you're just ruining it. And again, you're going to treat Olympic sports like crap. And if and when you do, not going to say if, when you do, I know you won't come on my show to talk about it because I will always be fair, but I'm going to hammer that point because it is not fair to them. You wouldn't do it to a football team. You're not going to make USC and Maryland play at Nebraska. But you're not. On a Thursday night, you're like, oh, Thursday night college football. Oh, it's a home game for USC though, but we're just going to play it in Nebraska. It's not a bowl game. So again, football, I know that's a ridiculous example. I concede that. But to treat volleyball, swimming, softball, a lot of them have lacrosse, beach volleyball. What's that going to do for USC and UCLA? Who are they going to play? Because the Pac-12 ain't going to schedule them. So, and if they do, if you're the Pac-12 team, say, yeah, this is what it's going to cost you to play us. You wanted to leave, this is what it's going to cost you. And UCLA will whine, and they'll try and throw that out there. Well, the Pac-12, the teams in the conference will be right. And USC will whine too. Don't whine. You wanted to do this. Shut your mouth. You want to play these games? This is what it costs. And you can bump it up. I mean, as per what the sport is, but just bump it up a little bit more to stick it to them even more. That's what I would do. But nonetheless, we'll see. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Again, congrats to the Carolina Hurricanes. Soft goal in overtime to beat the Devils. But that is the game I expected more throughout the whole series, not just constant blowouts and one close game. But New Jersey Devils, a young team, went home second round, sent the Rangers home first, though. And the Denver Nuggets beat the Suns last night. Man, it was an elimination game for the Suns the last two seasons. Although with no depth, whatever. We'll get into that. We need get some of these guys in from the Pac-12. Come on. No, but that being said, enjoy your weekend watching. Again, I hope you check out the softball tournament, Pac-12 softball tournament. Is absolutely awesome. You can go on to Pac-12.com, and again, or Pac-12.com, and check out the schedule, all that good stuff. But again, you should check out this semifinal softball and the championship game tomorrow as well. Again, great baseball you can enjoy, but whatever you're enjoying over the weekend, be safe, have fun. Hopefully you have somewhat cooler weather than we do here. Enjoy the cool weather while it lasts, cooler weather while it lasts, and we'll go from there. But anyway, have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. Like I said, a lot to get into: baseball, softball, some golf, and now allegedly this whole Oregon and Washington mess to join the Big Ten. So have a fun weekend. Enjoy it. I will see you Monday. Like I said, same bat time, same bat channel. And as always, forks up.